Good Sunday afternoon, everyone. Roger Hill with the VELCO Weather Hazards Outlook, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. We're looking at a large upper-level system. This is located in the western Great Lakes. On its western flank, northwestern flank, it's cold enough to produce snow, and there's been some snowfall. In some areas, quite extensive snowfall. However, along its center and off to its east, the temperatures, of course, are warmer, and consequently, we're seeing primarily just rain. It's been super dry across our neck of the woods, and that's been supported by this large upper-level ridge of higher pressure. Another upper-level ridge of higher pressure just behind this system. This is going to dampen down. Once the system moves on in, temperatures will get cooler aloft and at surface. We'll see a significant cooling trend that's going to go into the middle part of this coming week. And with that, some better wetting conditions. And as we lose this upper-level ridge, that's going to be dampened out. We're looking at fire danger going by the wayside pretty rapidly. As dew point temperatures are going to be climbing, we're going to see more moisture in the area, and also cooler, significantly cooler temperatures will work in for the middle part of the week. Cold enough so that we could even see a little bit of wet snow in some of the localized higher terrain. Right now it looks like this is going to be elevated off the valley floors. We're not looking at any weather hazards. The only real weather hazard I see is potentially some gradient wind gusts that could form along the western side of the Green Mountain slopes. This from a southeasterly flow from this system here that's going to eventually weaken a bit. All of that taking place during the day on Monday. However, gradient wind gusts look like they're going to be basically only topping out close to thresholds, but just a heads up, intermediate terrain west of the spine of the Green Mountains could be affected by some gusty winds, and there may be a possible impact. Right now, it's hardly even worth mentioning in terms of a heads up. But that's with us. Also, even preceding that, this afternoon, on this Sunday afternoon, we could see a couple isolated thunderstorms develop in the vicinity of Lake George, areas say around Castleton, Fairhaven, this general area of western Rutland County. Could see a potential thunderstorm, and that is indicated by a couple different models. So something we'll be looking for. It'll be so isolated, again, not even worthy of a heads up. Looking at the temperatures right now, we see fairly warm conditions and pretty much above normal temperatures continuing, where we're looking at a run where temperatures may top out in the mid 70s, maybe even some upper 70s in some northern and western areas of the state. Meanwhile, much cooler air is worked in with some low cloudiness that's kind of spreading in from the south and east. This is going to stay roughly about the Barre Montpelier area, and mostly on the eastern side of the Green Mountains. There could even be a little bit of sprinkles or drizzle today. So hence, we're not looking at good project weather today, except if you live in the northern and western areas of the state. We're looking at generally pretty decent conditions with no precipitation chances during the rest of Sunday. And I mentioned the gradient winds on the backside of this area of low pressure here. The pressure gradient pretty strong with this little bit of a stronger ridge of higher pressure. And consequently, right now, the flow is strongest on its backside. However, this is going to rotate around, and we're going to see a little bit of a draw, again, across this, mainly the Green Mountains, western slopes and summits, where gusts will get approaching 40 miles per hour. That's our main concern for this outlook period. Beyond that, once this ridge of higher pressure moves on by, this system will be affecting us along next weekend, and it looks to be a lot more vigorous. And shall I say, there's complications with much higher gusts potentially, as that area of low pressure could be a little bit deeper. There are indications of some gradient winds that could be a little bit more significant along the western slopes of the Green Mountains with a southeasterly flow. Let's take a look at the computer modeling. Euro model on the left-hand side, we have the American GFS on the right-hand side. These are both deterministic. Looking at, again, a little bit of spotty sprinkles, minor precipitation in southern parts of Vermont. Very, very spotty. And running the computer model, you can see that that is a situation for the southern part of Vermont, not northern Vermont. This is our main band of the next wetting. We're looking at probably about a quarter to about a third of an inch of rainfall. This sets up basically during the day on Monday. That's going to be the most significantly wet day of the coming several days until we get into post the outlook period. That will be on Saturday, and we'll get to that here in a second. But meanwhile, some rainfall with this band of rain showers, and we're looking at about somewhere around a quarter to about a third of an inch of total rainfall with this. The band moves on through, and then we get into a little bit of a dry slot. However, that fills in with some scattered off and on rain showers, slant wet snow showers in some of our local mountains. This is that colder air that produced those more significant snowfall. However, you can see how things have dampened out, and it's not looking like a big deal. We're not looking at any utility issues with wet snow, but just a little bit covering maybe some of our higher elevation passes. Best chances for this would be probably Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and again, about Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And that's what we're looking at right here. And then eventually, we get into drier conditions with this. However, there's a warm front that may be forcing an issue here, just beyond the period. And this is our more significant shot of rainfall. You can see how it kind of gathers energy and then scoops up a lot of Gulf of Mexico moisture that works up the coast. This is beyond the period into Saturday night, and then eventually into Sunday, where we could see some more significant rainfall. This is some colder air behind this next weather system. Again, we're talking around the 24th of April. So this is getting kind of out of season for this, but take a look at that. We'll have to wait and see just what the significance is once we get into the early part of the following week, next week. Looking at the GFS ensemble centered on the Montpelier grid, this outlier line here is very much like the European, kind of indicating that there's something could be potentially significant, but it's well around the corner and nothing to worry about at this point in time. So this is our 3-hourly QPF. The total QPF looks like this, and again, it's a pretty kind of average, mundane kind of scenario for this time of year. 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 8/10. You can see that a very slow rise in precipitation. The latest deterministic model is a little less than what the averages have been for the ensemble. Looking at the 850 temperatures kind of tells you the story here about precipitation type. Well above normal, of course, we're sliding in with colder temperatures, and we do go down below the 0 degree centigrade line at about 850 hectopascals, about the top of Mount Mansfield. And any precipitation that were to fall here would be mixed rain and wet snow showers. And wet snow showers are indicated in the highest elevations. As you can see, the precipitation type here with this blue versus all rain. Looking at the total QPF, the Weather Prediction Center, you can see that we're on that blue line here. That's about 1 inch totals. Again, this is going out 7 days, so it's capturing a little bit of that Saturday storm. So about a quarter to a third of an inch on Monday. Just dribbles and very light precipitation, minor stuff, including minor wet snow potential. A couple tenths of an inch, a tenth here, a tenth there, kind of thing. And then we dry it out a little bit later in the week before Saturday, and just beyond the period, that's adding to that total of 1 inch amount. And looking at the total temperatures here, the anomalies, you can see we're well above normal, and it feels that way. With this last day on Sunday of seeing above normal temperatures, that's going to go by the wayside as we gradually cool it off, and in fact sharply cool it off. However, it's weighted only near normal over the next 5 days of meteorological output statistic high temperatures. And we get beyond that, it actually begins to warm up a little bit, kind of neutral through this portion. And just to end on this note here, looking at the current dew point temperatures, we have that moisture coming in from the ocean, and it's banking up against the eastern slopes of the Green Mountains and kind of sneaking into northern Vermont. But these areas of northern Vermont will see probably the best weather today, and with that, a decent amount of sunshine going through the end of Sunday. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.